a financial specialist at Tesla, member of Promote Ukraine. And I suggest the following, that Anna will say a couple of words about the digital agenda, and then we discuss the digital agenda also between Anna, Tanel, and another Anna, okay?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Well, anyways, to start with, I want to thank Promote Ukraine for such an opportunity to write my articles for Brussels Ukraine Review and to be present today at the presentation. And I would like to start with saying that IT industry in Ukraine is definitely moving very fast right now. It's developing, and I feel super excited seeing how much it's bringing to Ukrainian economy. In 2019, it brought $5 billion to Ukrainian economy, and it is expected to bring around 9 million by 2025, which I think is huge numbers. And I want to say that in my article, also in the second edition of Brussels Review, I talked a lot about the importance of governmental investment and the steps that the Ukrainian government needs to take and is currently taking in order to ensure that Ukrainian IT industry is prospering in the country. Only in the first 2 months of the new Ukrainian government, there were over 80 laws implemented in order to, set the investment environment in Ukraine. And currently, Ukraine is ranked in top 50 for foreign investment and investment in digital technology on European continent, which I think is pretty huge. And I think that it is mainly caused by the level of very highly educated specialists in our country. Each year, our 400 institutions produce 35,000 IT specialists yearly, over 80% of whom speak English. And I think it's a huge reason to invest in Ukraine, and the progress that is happening is enormous. It is also expected that IT industry will uptake up to 5% of Ukrainian GDP by 2025. So I invite all the foreign investors, all the Ukrainian policymakers to put a huge emphasis on digitization, on investing in innovative startups and IT industry of Ukraine, because it is thriving. And if we look at the example of European countries of Western world,
Anna, I suggest that you just finish your presentation, okay?
Yeah.
Shortly, and then we discuss the same topic with Mr. Tanel.
Yeah, definitely. I completely understand that the time of digital technology is very rewarding because we obviously are connected all in different countries. I'm currently located in Ukraine, Aaron is everywhere, but there are some pitfalls to that. And of course, yes, that's the main summary that I wanted to make, that the industry is definitely evolving pretty fast, with also a lot of Western countries moving their R&D, research and development sectors to Ukraine. And the most recent and move, I think, is Google moving its R&D center to Ukraine, or starting, which I think is pretty great and huge, along with other huge companies as Microsoft, Apple, Samsung Electronics, moving their R&D centers to Ukraine. We also will create a lot of jobs and specialists for development of better relations with EU and Western world in general, which I think is amazing. So this is a summary for me.
Yeah, thank you very much, Anna. It was very interesting. Sorry for this technical problem. There is a question. I do not know whether Anna or Tanel can answer this question. It's about cybersecurity. I do not know whether you're a specialist in this field or not. But there is a question from he's asking. 2009 Common Security and Defense Policy also includes security. This is common activities and to defend it that was done or will be done.
Yes. I mean, I will answer to that question as well, but maybe I will start a bit more broader context, and then come to cybersecurity at the end. And I understand that there are also some other questions coming in. No, I think that what was just said is very important. You know, we have to recognize the progress in Ukraine in this area. Of course, one has to go and dig into the statistics, how much IT constitutes of the GDP, how many people are employed. I, at the moment, do not have this data with me, and sometimes also data is not really representing everything. I think it is a challenge. We have to really explore to also give a more sound empirically evidence what we are saying. But one thing is for fact that Ukraine has made tremendous progress in this area at the governmental, but also at the individual and business level. I was just earlier this week reading the new UN report on the digital transformation and electronic participation. And I think Ukraine is one of those countries who has progressed the most compared to the previous report. So this is recognized also by the international actors. And then, of course, everything that goes on in the country. I mean, this the DIA platform that was introduced to citizens in February, the way this has penetrated Ukrainian people, within Ukrainian people, within Ukrainian citizenry, it's amazing. I mean, with 4 months of using time, 4 million users, by this Ukraine has done something that no other country has managed before. Even comparing to Estonia, this is tremendous success and tremendous development. And I think also important to understand that this does not come without challenges. I mean, we are aware of some of the concerns that have been raised on the privacy, on cybersecurity, but I think that what is important is that also government understands those concerns. And also the fact, and this is maybe the third thing showing the commitment from the Ukrainian side in this area, is the position of the Deputy Prime Minister, who is responsible for digital transformation, and creating a separate ministry that is responsible for digital transformation. This will all contribute to the cooperation in this area, and also obviously to the Ukrainian digital leap itself. And I think also already now there are some things that the EU can learn from Ukraine, and not only Ukraine learning from the EU. Now, I think second broader issue that I would like to little bit discuss is what are EU and Ukraine doing in this area, and I think very important to mention that we have this very ambitious association agreement and deep and comprehensive free trade area between the EU and Ukraine. And in telecommunications sector, we actually offer to Ukraine a very advanced form of integration with the EU, which is basically an internal market treatment of the telecommunication services. And this is something that is not offered to basically any other country in the Eastern neighborhood. And this is for us a very strong motivation to encourage Ukraine to focus on implementing its commitments in the association agreement, because this internal market treatment does not come just by itself. Ukraine has to align its legislation, its institutional setup with that of the EU. Ukraine has to have a strong telecommunication regulator. Ukraine has to have a law on the electronic communications, which is in line with the EU acquis. Ukraine has to have a law on electronic trust services, which is in line with the EU acquis. And of course, this is something that is ongoing in Ukraine right now. I mean, this draft law on electronic communications has been submitted to RADA, and RADA committee has been discussing it. I think it has already been adopted in the first reading with some substantial suggestions for amendments for the second reading. And the way EU takes this cooperation is that we have basically launched a multi-phase approach in order to support Ukraine in implementing association agreement. We have done an in-house assessment on the Ukraine proposal on how they want to approximate with the EU legislation in different areas. We have done an on-site assessment where we have basically assessed the legal gaps and institutional challenges. And now, as a third and fourth phase, we will support Ukraine in closing those gaps and building the institutional capacities. The third large issue what I would like to mention is our support. And again, I think that I have today already used so many times the words the biggest, the most, and the largest. And again, here I'm proud to say that Ukraine has the largest e-government and digital economy program in any third countries outside of the EU. So we provide 25 million euros to Ukraine in this area in I think initially in 4 years. And this addresses many issues from the e-government to the implementation of the association agreement, legislation, policy, capacity building, and even a bit the preparation of the broadband development projects. So it's a very big program. It was signed in February, and we are now negotiating with the implementing partners to actually launch the activities. Final point, I know that there was a question on cyber security. And cyber security is an area where we have worked together with Ukraine since 2015, December 2016, first half. Remember, there were big attacks against the energy infrastructure in Ukraine, in Western Ukraine, and then followed also with attacks against financial sector, and of course also WannaCry, NotPetya. Sorry, there was a NotPetya in 2017. So basically, what we have done, we have scaled up our support. We have done this through different instruments. We have shared member states' experience. We have stepped up our support in the context of the elections, so cybersecurity of elections, and also connecting cybersecurity very much with countering disinformation. And I mentioned earlier the e-government and digital program. We have also a little component inside that program that could address cybersecurity challenges, both on the operational side, but possibly also on the legislative side. And then also we have an opportunity to bring in further member states' experience through the twinning project. The twinning is for us a modality when we bring in EU member states experience in one specific area, then to be shared and work together with Ukrainian partners. Final point on cybersecurity. We discussed earlier the EU-Ukraine summit. In the margins of the preparation of the summit, we are now discussing very concretely about the possibilities to launch EU-Ukraine cybersecurity dialogue. This is what Ukraine asked last year during the association committee. And we are now so far that we are finalizing our internal reflections on this, and hopefully this will be then one of the EU-Ukraine summit deliverables that we will be able to announce that in a close future, either by the end of this year or maybe more realistically, maybe at the beginning of next year, there is going to be a EU-Ukraine cybersecurity dialogue. EU has cybersecurity dialogues so far with 6 countries: United States, Korea, India, Brazil, Japan, and and China as well. Although I think in the case of China, it is called something else. Not I think it's called a little bit broader than just the cybersecurity dialogue. I think this is all from me now. I can also obviously answer to any questions if there are questions. Thanks a lot. And sorry if I was too long.
Yeah, it's a brilliant idea to have this cybersecurity dialogue with Ukraine. It sounds really wonderful. I would like to ask a very short question, and I expect very short answers from both speakers, from Anna and from Tanel. The question is, can Ukraine become next India? In terms of digitalization, of course. We cannot hear you. No,
okay. I think Mr. or Madam Moderator is muting me from time to time.
No,
it's not you. It's somebody else. It's somebody else. No, I mean, on this question, whether Ukraine can be India, I think Ukraine can never be India, but Ukraine is already in many areas much more than India. Ukraine is Ukraine. So, I mean, this TIA thing, I mean, this is something that nobody has tried before in the world. This is something completely unique. And of course, many are watching how this will go. And I think even countries who are otherwise digitally more advanced than Ukraine, they will look at this and see how Ukraine is doing. And then, of course, the second thing, India does not have an association agreement with the EU. I mean, they do not have such an offer from us that we have, that you have. So I think in that sense also, Ukraine is much more. And maybe a third thing as well, where I think there maybe are some similarities, is the interest of the large, I would say, global competitors to the EU raising their stakes, like for example, China and Huawei. I think this is also something that we follow very closely, and we are aware that some of those developments may also have security risks for us. So when, for example, the 5G networks start developing in Ukraine, and this will definitely have an impact on the EU as well. So, I mean, I think answering, I understand where this question is coming from, but I think that Ukraine is too unique of a country to be compared to anyone else. Ukraine is Ukraine, and Ukraine should be proud for being Ukraine. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Anna, can you add something to this, please?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that Ukraine is creating a very unique environment for entrepreneurship in general, not only big IT industry, but also for entrepreneurship and startups. And answering Irina's previous question, I also wanted to add that we already have such big startup players as Grammarly, GitLab, People AI, Allocate, different types of startups that already gather millions and millions in investment. And only in 2019 in venture capital investment, Ukraine for the first time ever surpassed $0.5 billion in gathering investment for startups, which I think is pretty huge and unique because our product is being used everywhere. And also, as was already mentioned, Ukraine works very closely with Europe to allow for our regulations being developed, economic financial regulations being developed in very close proximity and synergy, I would say. So I think it is definitely something unique, and I can see a very bright future for our IT industry, I would say.
Okay, that sounds really, really nice. We hope that it will be like this.